Good evening. You are on Community Updates, and we have a wonderful guest list today. We have some doctors in the house who'll be able to answer some of your medical questions and benefits and things to you. We've got Dr. Karen Russell right here, and she's going to be sharing some things with us about skin care and other things that holistic and different supplements. And we have Dr. Antio
Pashai.
Pashai.
Close.
Antio Pashai, who's going to be sharing some benefits that we can, some supplemental benefits when you already have health care. And then we have Dwight Vaughtner from Share House, which is a treatment center, and he's going to be sharing with us some of the wonderful things that their treatment center is doing. And we also want to lend some support to this wonderful agency that helps people in our community. So, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here, being our guest on this evening. So, Dwight Vaughtner, we're going to... Walter.
Just like daughter, V as in victory. Walter.
Walter.
You learned it already. Yes.
So, tell us a little bit about Share House and how long have you been there and what types of things you do.
Share has been around since 1969. Right after the Detroit riot, Share came into existence in response to the heroin epidemic they had at that point in time. We've been there ever since. We're on the boulevard, the 1852 West Grand Boulevard. We have a full scope of services for addictions, from withdrawal management to residential to outpatient, recovery housing, recovery support service, the full spectrum. We treat approximately about 6,000 people a year.
Wow.
Before the pandemic. I got to underscore that. When the pandemic happened, it went down to about 2,000 people per year. Our residential beds went, a 3-man dorm became a 2-man dorm. A 2-man dorm became a 1-man dorm because we had to have room for social distancing and to keep everybody healthy. But we do great work. Something also that I'm quite proud of is that we've always done well when people come to us within our agency. But there's so many people in the community that need help. And as a result, we started an outreach program called ECHO. ECHO stands for Enhancing Community Health Outcome. What we have found is that if we reach out to people in a very holistic way, people will come and get the help that they need. It's not for just alcohol and drugs, because if you look at a pyramid, or better yet, an iceberg, at the tip of the iceberg, you may see something, but underneath is many different things. People come to us for one problem, say it's for financial assistance. We get through assessing them and talking to them, they've told you about having domestic problems at home, housing insecurity, having health challenges that we end up referring people to. So they have a variety of problems once you meet the person and engage them where they are. So that's been very exciting for us. If you're familiar with the Boulevard, we purchased a closed school across from our main headquarters, probably about 10 years ago, not knowing at that time what to do with it. But we knew something had to happen. And we went on like the old Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And we transformed this closed, dead Detroit school building into an engagement center where people can come for help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get help regarding housing, unemployment, substance use, mental health issues. We have approximately 10 self-help groups going on a week right there. There's groups for family members. One thing you hear about, and this is relating to mental health versus substance use. I know I'm giving you a lot of information. The mental health system have had clubhouses for years where people with mental health disorders can go and get the help that they need and receive services. It has not been the same for people with substance use problems. What you hear so often, people talking about peer pressure with the onset of experimentation and drug use. You also hear recidivism, people talk about negative peer pressure. This engagement center is a place people can come and hang out with cool people in a positive, supportive, healing environment. And that has been huge.
So the engagement center is on the boulevard?
The engagement center is 1851 West Grand Boulevard, directly across from the main headquarters. Yes.
Okay. So that's West Grand. And anybody can come in there?
Anyone can come there, whether they think they have a problem, suspect they have a problem, have a loved one with a problem, because people don't want to talk about that. But everyone have a loved one that's struggling and not knowing what to do. So they come there and get some guidance on what to do, how to help the person.
And this is Mental Health Month.
Yes, yes.
And, mental health is very real, very serious, and we need to take that more seriously,
Exactly.
especially since the pandemic with people being so isolated. And everyone doesn't handle that well. I think I shared last week there was a woman that put on Facebook that she was ready to kill herself. And someone said, just replied to her and said, "Oh, you'll be all right." I said, no. We have to reach out to her. So I reached out. Because you have to take that seriously. And if you put that out live on Facebook, and this wasn't a child, this was an adult.
They're crying for help.
That was a cry for help.
What I heard years ago is, if you're questioning suicide, keep it a question, because it's not the answer. Keep it a question. Keep it a question. Right there is not the answer. And that's what we do
And
with
people
that.
don't really want to die. They just don't like the way their life is going.
They want the pain to stop.
Yes.
That's all they want, is the pain to stop. And that's why I think us and other agencies is here to help people to ease the pain. Yes.
So if they go to the engagement center, which is at 1851 West Grand Boulevard, is that where you offer employment opportunities, or where they can hear about that as well as mental health challenges, and they don't have to necessarily come and stay in Share House, because you have a treatment center for people as well?
Right. Treatment has a negative connotation among many people, especially in our community. So a lot of times just having someone to talk to and talk with and to engage them is so important. We also have a number there. It's 313-480-4448. And
this is to the engagement center? And
They
that was
can-
313-480-4484.
No, 4448.
4448.
If you look at
so
the
let
phone,
me say it again, 313-480-4448.
Right.
And that's to the engagement
the last
center.
four numbers, you look at it, says it means I get help today.
Okay.
4448.
Okay.
And they can call or text that number. The youngsters, they love texting. So I had to get a number that they can text and they can respond back. Because many people will text you until they're ready to come and meet you face to face.
What age group of people do you get?
Mainly adults from 18 years old and older. 50, 60, 70, what have you. Work with adults.
And you would think that a lot of our young people, when I see young people panhandling on the street, you're too young. Life, it's like, but they really aren't. And so many, we hear about so many young people killing themselves and bullying in school, and it's, it just is different from when I grew up. Life wasn't that hard. I mean, it might have been, but we weren't thinking about killing ourselves.
Hurt people, and so many people these days was raised with children, raised by parents, babies having babies, and so many are raised with parents who also had alcohol and drug problems or mental health problems that went untreated. So you cannot give what you don't have.
Right.
So it becomes a very generational thing, time and time again. I see people all the time who speak about being in jail with their parents or being in the dope house with their parents, those kind of things. So we have to work on these generational issues to try to resolve it.
And you do see a lot of young people yelling at their children.
Yes.
And a few times I've said something and addressed it like, you don't have to yell, or cussing at the children. And sometimes that those people are waiting for someone like me to say something, and they just want to tell me off.
Yeah.
So I stay, mind my business.
It is my business. It's my child too.
But thank you all for listening. I want you to call in if you are listening right now, 313-355-6810, and you are on Community Updates on WJZZ Cool TV. Community Updates. You can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. So please tune in. Please feel free to call tonight if you have some questions and things that you would like to ask any of our guests or share anything. 313-355-6018 is the number here to the studio. And again, we've got Dwight Valter. I'm just going to let you guys see your laugh.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Dwight Valter, who is with Share House, and the treatment center is not just for alcohol and substance abuse. If someone has mental health challenges, maybe bipolar, sometimes bipolar people don't like to take medications. Yes. But there are some programs that will tell you you don't need medications, but I've come to find out that some people need medication. It helps them to function a lot better.
When it comes to opioid use disorders, over 106,000, according to CDC, people overdosed last year. Addiction was the issue before. They said don't give medications to. Now, to save lives, medications are very effective to help people save life rather than overdose. And in our community now, fentanyl and other synthetics is really killing people. 2/3 of the overdoses relates to synthetics such as fentanyl, and that's really deadly. Another very important issue is that most people are taking multiple drugs. It's not like they take one drug. Many people are taking multiple drugs. They're taking the fentanyl and the other painkillers and cocaine, and they're drinking with it. If you go back to Marilyn Monroe, that was a 2-drug situation. Anyone you look at since then, most of them you look at, is always multiple drug use.
So as people matriculate through your program and become more productive members of society, I know that you have a pretty good success rate, and I know you wanted me to stay away from that, but I've had opportunity to meet people that have come through your program, and they seem to be doing very well, and and functioning very well, got their children back, families back working, and that's always important. It's not that people don't have problems and they fall down, but they can get back up again and really live a productive life and get a handle on not running to a substance when they are challenged with life's challenges, because we have challenges in life. It's just how we handle them. Do you all ever get any substance? I know you both deal in different areas of medicine, but do you ever have clients that come in that are addicted or bipolar or need shelter?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's prevalent throughout all of medicine, unfortunately, in this day and age. And having resources like yourself, it's wonderful to be able to send patients your way, and you can go out of your way to help them.
Likewise.
I work in education and higher ed at Wayne County Community College District, and I cannot tell you how many people. Matter of fact, we have put together a book that gives resource book for homelessness and bipolar and gas cards, and because people need help. When I was working in the high schools before, and there were children squatting in houses. It was heart-wrenching. Make you want to take some children home. Yeah, it did. I didn't take them home, but
Whole different situation.
I started thinking about what do you call it, where you adopt children? Adoption.
Yes.
And I said, no, that's it. But we appreciate. I want you to tell us about your upcoming events, and I'm going to share one of these with each of you, so you know about Share House. They have a couple of upcoming events. Recovery United is one of them, and I'll let you tell us a little bit about that, because you're a nonprofit organization, but you don't get a lot of government funds, and they need help.
We definitely need
help in the community. This is community updates, and a lot of times we need to help one another in the community. Each person here tonight is going to share with you how they are helping the community. And Dwight Valter, tell us about this Recovery United program.
Last year was the first year that Juneteenth was made a national holiday. We did a small event last year in front of the engagement center about Juneteenth. This year we're pulling all stops. We're really doing it big with this Juneteenth celebration. If people don't know about Juneteenth in our community, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, there was probably about a couple 100,000 African Americans, enslaved African Americans in Texas who did not know they were freed. Okay, and when they became knowledgeable of being freed, the same way I feel, and we feel like with this Recovery United event, is that there are many people in this community right now who are struggling, who are bound by addictions, who are bound by mental health, who have physical problems, and there's resources and help available in the community. But the same way, they do not know about what's out there. So we're trying to get all these different community entities to come there and support and let us know we're here to help.
Wonderful.
My people perish for lack of knowledge.
That's right. And that's exactly why we created Community Updates.
Yes.
So that we can share the knowledge with people. They don't realize that there are a lot of resources to help them for whatever the need is. And I love that you're going to have someone here to discuss expungement.
Yes.
So if people have a record and they need to get some things expunged,
Wipe it
so
clean.
that and get it wiped clean, so they can get jobs. And when you have a record, you can't even get housing in some cases. So you've got to have someone there to assist them with that. Health screenings, mental.
For children, have
Children,
face
bounce
pain
houses and
for
paint
children.
face. And I see you're going to have Randy Scott.
Randy Scott, a nationally known saxophonist.
Awesome saxophonist.
Also, Lauren Harper. Those don't know Lauren Harper. He's a great singer, writer, playwright. He has made different plays in this area. Spare Change. Last week he did the Rhythm and Blues concert about a week or two ago. It went over real big. I was there, and I just went back to the 60s and 70s music and the 80s and just jammed.
So this is free and open to the
This
public.
is free and open to the
And
public.
it'll be on Saturday, June the 18th,
From 2 o'clock.
2002, from 2 to 8 p.m. on 1851 West Grand Boulevard. We will post this information on our website and on Facebook and on YouTube to make it available. But mark your calendar, Saturday, June the 18th, 2 to 8 p.m. Come on out to Share House and at 1851 West Grand Boulevard, which is where their other center is located.
Right.
And have some fun and get some information.
Website.
Get the resources, and their website is
www.echodetroit.org.
www.echodetroit.org. Echo is spelled ECHO.
Detroit.
Detroit.org. And now, is this a separate event here, or is this just sponsorship?
It's just sponsorship.
Okay. So they do have different, for those of you who are, you don't always have to have means to sponsor something. Sometimes we think that if I don't have enough money, then I can't donate or help. Technically, when you give, it'll be given back to you. When you have a heart to be a giver, you will get back. That's been my experience as well. What about you all?
I agree.
When you
Absolutely.
give, and you don't always have to give from your give from your abundance, because I think about the widow that had the 2 little mites, and she gave, and next thing she knew, she had a whole pantry full of
You're going to start
of
preaching
food.
now. You're going to start preaching now.
No. But it's true, and we found that to be true.
Yes.
So we thank you, Dwight, for coming to share about Share House. And again, we're going to put this information on our Facebook page as well as our YouTube page. So we thank you for listening, tuning in to Community Updates on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram and Facebook. And this is WJZZ Cool TV. And again, if you want to call in, if you have any questions, we're going to go to our next guest. And if you have any questions, 313-355-6018. Feel free to give us a call. And next we're going to go to Miss Karen Russell. So tell us a little bit about what type of medicine. I know I saw skincare. What type of medicine you practice and how you help the community.
Sure. My name is Dr. Karen Russell. I'm a board-certified internist, so my specialty is internal medicine.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know what internal medicine is, it's adult medicine. So I treat adults from 18 and up. The services that we offer are, of course, typical services: health maintenance, health prevention, preservation of health, We do annual physicals, you name it. Chronic disease management, we do all of that. We have an on-site laboratory at our location. We also offer a number of services. We are a little unique. We are very comprehensive, so we're sort of like a wellness center as well. We don't just treat chronic diseases. We're very strong on prevention and maintenance of health. We have a little bit non-traditional way of managing in terms of Western medicine, and we meld that with plant-based medicine as well.
Wonderful.
So we have herbal supplements that we offer to not only preserve health, but also with chronic disease management, we integrate that with traditional medicine as well. So we tailor it for our patients.
I love it when a doctor incorporates holistic methods along with Western medical technology and medicine.
Well, interestingly, that's something that evolved with us because if a lot of people don't know this, but in medical school we don't really learn a lot about herbal medicine. And I'll just tell you a bit about myself. I'm West Indian. I was born in Jamaica.
Okay.
I grew up in Toronto. I come from a huge family. My mother had 5 sisters. So everybody was, I think when I was younger, I never took any medicine. I mean, everything was herbal-based, plant-based. My grandmother was considered our parish's bush doctor, so she would take care of wounds, and so a lot of my aunts were really...
So you were able to see firsthand, as well as taking things, and also seeing your family members be healed from different things that were plant-based.
That's correct. That's correct. So I grew up with a plant-based background.
Didn't necessarily believe in all of the plant-based things, but I had sciatica in my hip, from my hip to my ankle, and I started drinking this kombucha. And if my kombucha friends are listening this evening, because they made it at home, and they said, take this will help. And kombucha has a lot of medicinal properties in it, and the doctors were giving me
anti-inflammatory, Motrin,
and all it did
steroids.
was all bone medicine. All it did was kind of minimize the pain, because I couldn't walk. I mean, I would cry to walk from the door to the parking lot and trying not to let my coworkers see me. But when I started I drank the kombucha every day for a year. Every day. Put it in water bottles, and then the sciatica went away. Completely gone. And so then I said, let me come off of the kombucha. Let me see if it's really the kombucha, this holistic method. I came off the kombucha and the pain started coming back. I said, oh no, I'll be taking kombucha till Jesus comes.
Well, and that's the thing. I think one of the things that I love about our practice, we are comprehensive. I consider us more of a wellness center as well, because we don't just approach a person's illness or a person's chronic disease or even their health from one standpoint. We really try to approach it comprehensively. And for me, like you just said, I mean, that's not something that we learn about in medical school. It's not something we practice. It's not a comfortable area. And so what I actually did was I became plant-based certified. I actually studied it. I'm still learning though, because again, it's a different language for me, being traditionally trained. So it's exciting because I was able to explore the plant-based aspect in a way that really gave me an appreciation for it from us. I'm a scientist, right? So from a scientific standpoint, and we really push healthy eating at our practice. We really push activity at our practice. I was a college athlete, so I'm biased when it comes to exercise, but I really stress how important it is diet, not dieting, but eating the right foods, because we get all of our sources, that inflammation comes from our foods. If it's, unhealthy choices, comes from our foods. How we feel every day, our
and then with our foods having so many steroids and other things in it,
correct.
That's not good.
Yep. So so that's the part of our practice that's actually new in the last year or so, that we've really become, it's really taken off. I know a lot of people are more conscientious now. I think COVID did this because for me, I'll tell you, I moved into my home probably about 10 years ago now, and we had these huge garden beds in the backyard, and my mom was always, you should garden. Who has time for that? I don't have time. But I took it up about 4 years ago, and we are garden to table. all through our summer
wonderful.
months. So we
Okay.
grow everything from peppers, different herbs. I dry all my herbs, so everything is fresh throughout the winter. So I stress a lot at the practice how important proper nutrition. Again, something we weren't
do
taught in
you
medical
give
school.
people information on supplemental things that are plant-based that they can take or do in lieu of medication?
So we actually have our own line of plant-based supplements. I spent
wonderful.
a year researching it, and we found a wonderful distribution organic company that we work with very closely, and we have 20 different plant-based supplements that are tailored for our population of patients that we serve.
What about for people that are diabetic, high
All
blood
of
pressure?
So yeah, absolutely. So
Okay,
and those
what's
are
your number? No, I'm teasing. No, I'm serious.
You're right.
So absolutely, and that's what I did. I mean, of course, as an internist, I see a lot of diabetics. I see a lot of pre-diabetics. I see a lot of hypertensive. I see a lot of pre-hypertensive. So we have a management program for those patients who are pre and who are active. As far as being a hypertensive patient or diabetic patient, we have our regimen that we promote for those patients in conjunction with medicine. That's not to take away, of course, there are cases where medicine is important.
Yes.
Of course.
But I do think catching people before they actually become a full-blown diabetic, we offer a supplements for that
Okay.
that can help stabilize the blood sugar. We have mood support. I mean, we are pretty comprehensive with our program that we have set up for patients like that.
Okay, listeners, I know some of you are out there and you've got different challenges with your bodies, maybe diabetes, maybe you want a pre-diabetes or high blood pressure or any number of a myriad of things. We want you to give us a call at 313-355-6018. We need you to call in so you can ask the doctor some questions. You've got free information that you can get right now from the doctors. And I was in Belize a few years ago, and I was in the jungle every day. I didn't do the, it was a
Resort.
National Geographic tour.
Oh,
Wow.
I love
It
it.
was
beautiful.
awesome.
I'm sure.
Wow.
Awesome. In the jungle every day, by the water. You know, we stayed in places in the villages,
Right.
and so I had the view of the water every day. But one of the tours, a guy took us in the jungle and was showing us the different plants. Some of the plants moved, so they had little.
Life, yeah.
They were life plants,
Man-eaters.
but each plant he would say, this is for when you're pregnant, this is for diabetes, this is for this, and unfortunately we couldn't take a thing home.
Nope.
But I hated that because literally he was showing us all of the different plants that they use for ailments,
Healing.
for healing,
Healing.
for healing.
You would be absolutely. I mean, first of all, you have to understand, and I'm gonna just speak from a God standpoint for a
Okay.
second. The plants were here long before we were,
Thank you.
and they were meant to serve a purpose.
Uh-huh.
And so I think what we have to realize that all of the medications, the prescription that Big Pharma prescribes come from plants. So I always, tell people that it's so important to go back to the source when you can. And that way, if you operate from that perspective, you would be surprised at the results. A lot of the illnesses that we have may not have been present if we were eating properly or incorporating the right amount of plants and vegetables that we should.
And so we can turn around. Sometimes I've heard that if you're diabetic, you're always going to be a diabetic. But then I hear other medical people say, no, that can be reversed.
Yep.
And you don't always have to have, what do they call it when you get inflammation in your feet and so forth? Neuropathy. That even that can be reversed, but the doctors will tell you that you are always going to have neuropathy.
Well, I'll say this. Let me say this. I'm a firm believer in never saying never.
Okay.
Patients come to me and we talk about that, but we have a very realistic conversation, and that's tough for a lot of people because you want me to take you off of the medicine, but your lifestyle doesn't reflect someone who wants to be off of medicine, right? So you are still overweight. You're still not eating. You're not making good choices, but you don't want to take the medicine. So we had what I do is I spend the time explaining why it's important for you to do your part in all of this. I give you the tools to do it, but when you leave, you have to make the decision that if this is what you want, any goal you set, you know that there are steps to achieve that. And if you're not going to go out for a walk after dinner, push away from the table, eat smaller portions, make better choices, then you are not someone who really wants to come off the medicine. You're just saying it. So I have this conversation. Same thing with diabetes. I have a lot of diabetics who are diet controlled. I think when we say once you're a diabetic, you're always a diabetic, it just means that you can come off the medicine, but you then have to make sure your diet is appropriate once we get your numbers right.
My mother used to carry around little containers so that she would always eat in small portions.
Yes. And there's a reason for that as a diabetic. There's a reason. And I do educate my patients. This year, I said, when we started our new year, our goal was education, changing the way people think. First, if you understand why you're eating frequent small meals as a diabetic, or you understand why why am I caring about your sugars being high? I feel fine. What's the big deal? Once I explain that, now you understand why.
And that's very
it's
sneaky
important.
because you do feel fine.
That's why we call it a silent killer.
Silent killer.
Yeah.
You feel fine, but your blood sugar levels could be off the hook.
300-400 easily.
300-400,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
So how can people, I see that your office, tell us where you're located
Yes, ma'am.
and how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so we're located at our address is 31500 Telegraph Road, and we're at Suite 240, and we're located, so that's on Telegraph and 13 Mile. We're right sort of on the border. We're in Bingham Farms, but we have Franklin, Southfield, Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, Farmington
Are you in
Hills.
one of the buildings there right past the auto dealers at 12 Mile? And
So we're just past 13 Mile.
Oh, okay.
And we're right, literally, maybe a third of a mile.
So on the
on
east
the right-
side of Telegraph?
On the east side of Telegraph. Yep.
Okay, I know right where that is.
Yep, it's a little tiny brown building next to, what's the name of the village? Right next to it. But we're in an office building with other doctors' offices, so a lot of people come there as well for that. And our phone number is 248-792-3690, and you can check out our website at amityinternalmedicine.net. We have a lot of services. You mentioned skincare. So we have two divisions. We have a total body division, which is our non-invasive aesthetic division. What that means is we're doing contouring treatments. We offer B12 injections, energy injections, vitamin C. We also do laser hair removal, those kinds of things to kind of beautify the outside for men and women.
Rid of dark spots.
Yep, we have a machine that actually does that. It works excellent for pigmented skin.
I
women
scratched
of color.
my arm. Any scar that I get from a child,
It
it's
stays on
there.
you. Yeah.
I hate that.
Well, you know what helps for that too? Collagen is a wonderful, one of our plant-based supplements that we do have is collagen, which helps with that integrity of the skin. It helps nails, hair, skin, muscle, and it helps with, at least reforming collagen, which can help lighten some of those dark spots.
Okay.
And then we have an organic skincare line. I have a private label organic skincare line as well, all 100% organic ingredients. So we really are pushing towards a more holistic approach for our patients.
Well, wonderful.
Yeah.
So again, listeners and viewers, if you want to have some organic supplemental ways to maintain your health and do it in a healthier fashion, mixed with anything, if you do have to take some medications, Dr. Karen Russell has an awesome practice, and you can reach her. She's located at 31500 Telegraph Road in Bingham Farms in Suite 240, and her number is area code 248-792-3690. You're hearing it first right here on Community Updates. We're here on WJZZ Cool TV, and we'd love for you to call in, ask some questions, or share something about yourself that you want to share. Maybe you've had some testimony of something, an ailment, and how you were healed from that. So please feel free to give us a call at 313-355-6018. That's again 313-355-6018. And next we're going to be talking with Mr. Antio
Pashai, Dr.
Pashai.
Antio Pashai.
Dr. Antio Pashai.
Yep. So I'm also a board certified internist. I work for Dedicated Senior Medical Center. We have 6 centers open in the area. We are new to Michigan, but we've been around since 1984. Originally based out of Miami, Florida. And what we focus on specifically is seniors. A lot of seniors are underprivileged, underserved, ignored, not taken care of. What we do is we service those seniors. And the way we service them is completely different than what's been done before. We pride ourselves on providing VIP service. So what that means for us is that we provide transportation for our seniors. We pick them up at their door, we bring them to our office, we take them back, whether it's Uber, Lyft, whatever we need to get them there. If they're wheelchair bound, we have certain companies that provide transportation for them. Once they get to the center, we provide comprehensive medical care. What that means is not only just labs, but we have classes, we have echo, we have acupuncture to really take care of their entire health needs. And it starts with diet, and just like Dr. Russell was saying, medication is not the key. We've been in this culture of over-medicating and over-prescribing when really we should be focusing on preventative care and diet and exercise and doing things the right way. So what Dedicated does different is that we provide preventative, proactive services. And the way that we work is that our panel size for physicians is so much smaller. So I can tell you a couple of years ago I was on the other side of medicine. I was in the fee-for-service world. And my patient,
what world?
fee for service.
Yes.
So what that means, fee for service. So what that means is, it's essentially quantity medicine. So the more patients you see, the higher you get reimbursed. I'm sure you've had experiences when you go to the doctor's office and you're there for 2 minutes and it feels like he's already gone or they're already gone, and you never really got the attention or care that you needed. That's because in the fee for service model, I was seeing 4,000 patients per year. And Dedicated, we do value-based medicine. I only see 400 patients is my maximum amount of patients that I'm allotted to see. That's 1/10.
Now, Dedicated also is around the United States. So you've just coming here to Michigan and already have opened up 6 locations, but you are everywhere. You have centers all over
Texas,
Texas,
Florida, Georgia.
Someone was asking me about Flint. You even have 2 locations in Flint?
So not yet.
Not yet.
It's in progress.
Okay.
We have we're looking at sites, 2 sites in Flint, 2 sites in Pontiac, and a couple of sites in Dearborn Heights. We're looking to launch those sites at the end of this year.
But you have sites in Florida?
Yep. So we have 98 centers open nationwide,
Okay.
ranging from Florida, from South Miami, and I think this is as far north as we've gotten. But we're continuing to grow. We're in a hyper-growth model right now because we align ourselves with our patients. We take a full risk for their care. And our numbers show it. I mean, we have 38% lower hospitalization rate. So when they become a patient at Dedicated, they're not going to go to the ERs often. We have a 46% reduced admission rate. So even if you do go to the hospital, we're able to keep you, get you out of there quickly and talk with your hospitalists and the doctors there. And our numbers show that we have a 97% patient satisfaction rate. So patients are happy when they come to us.
So if people already if seniors would already have Medicaid or Medicare, and many other people have, like I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, or people might have an HMO, they can come to you as well, and this is a supplemental service that you provide?
So we would become their primary care physician. So currently we take 4 insurances, and it's Humana, WellCare, Priority, and Blue Cross. We can switch you over to different insurance if you're not any part of those plans. We have agents that we work with and brokers that can switch you. But we've really been shown that we keep patients happy and healthy, and it's through a full approach, a holistic approach, if you will. We were taking care of the whole person and not just prescribing medications. We're really intervening and providing VIP service, something that's really lacked around here. And the way that Dedicated works in general is they find places that there is a lack of seniors being served. There's seniors in the hospital constantly. Instead of going to your primary care doctor, you go to the ER. And that's the wrong way to go about it.
They're not being served. Do you mean they don't have insurance?
Some of them don't have insurance when they qualify. I mean, if you don't have insurance and you're over the age of 65, we'll get you insurance. We'll get you signed up for a Medicare or Medicaid plan, and we'll get you to be one of our patients, and we'll provide you resources like these 2 wonderful folks here that we can help you. And that's what it's all about, is helping the community. And we're a resource to help seniors in the community get better health care. A lot of times, seniors, they call their primary care physician.
I'm listening to him talk.
And they can't get in for weeks.
It's ringing inside, or something that it's not.
So we're hearing some voices coming
I can hear
from
them.
coming from somewhere. Do we have a caller that was trying to call in?
I can hear the show.
Because we've got voices coming through. And we want you to call in at 313-355-6018. Again, that's 313-355-6018. Call in, ask the doctor, speak to the doctors, see what they can tell you about health care, about wellness. So again, Dr.
Pashai.
Pashai, I
wrote
it down. Dr. Pashai, so if a person, well, a lot of people would be afraid to switch over their medical care if they have Medicaid or Medicare. How do you help them in that process feel more comfortable?
Yeah, so all we ask is just come and tour one of our facilities. We have brand new state-of-the-art facilities. There is a dispensary pharmacy.
Hello, we've got a caller calling in. Yes, caller.
Hello.
Yes, who is this?
What?
Your name, caller? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm Al Bracey. I have a question for the doctors.
Okay.
And the question is, every time I travel, my ankles and feet swell. And I was trying to see what am I doing wrong and how can I prevent that? Because I travel a lot.
Sure. So very common cause for that is when you're sitting down for a long period of time, you have poor blood flow, poor circulation in your legs, and that causes pooling in your feet, which is what you're describing as swelling. So the first and easiest thing you can do is as soon as your flight take off and you're able to walk around, you need to walk around because the contraction from those muscles is able to push that fluid back. The second thing you should be doing if you're traveling often is wear compression stockings. A lot of folks as we get older, our veins and our vasculature doesn't work as well, so it tends to pool. Our valves can break and you have some of that backflow. By wearing compression stockings, it not only prevents and minimizes that swelling, but it gets all that blood flow going back towards your heart and back towards your brain where you're not feeling as tired and as fatigued at the end of those flights. So those would be your two big takeaways. Would be, make sure you walk during that flight, make sure you wear your compression stockings, and if you do have a PCP, make sure you get your PCP involved, making sure they're ruling things out like heart failure or other diseases that can cause that.
And the PCP is our primary care physician.
That's correct.
Well, thank you so much, doctor.
Very welcome.
Appreciate it. I enjoy your show. Great show.
Thank you, and thank you for calling in.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you, you too. So I bought some compression socks, but they were just way too tight.
Yeah, and that's common. So if you're picking the wrong size, and they have different markers as to what type of compression you want, whether you want 10 to 15 or 15 to 30, you may have gotten something that's too tight for you. A lot of people have issues at the knees where it's too tight around their knees, they're uncomfortable. Then you can try mid-thigh ones where you won't have that line that builds up there. Okay. But you may want to start on something that's a little bit milder and not as high of compressive forces that's causing a lot of those issues.
And they have custom ones as well that you can have made if it's an issue where you can't quite find the right size.
And my legs swole up the other day, this week. And I don't know why. I don't use salt, and I try to monitor what foods, because salt can be in many different things, and so I try to monitor that. So I'm not sure, and I'm walking more.
How's your water intake?
I guzzle water.
Guzzling, but how much would you say you drink a day?
A gallon.
You drink a gallon of water a day?
Love water.
Every day?
Love it.
Okay.
I keep it. I drink it morning, noon. I had to kind of taper off the 4 to 6 glasses at night because then I'm constantly running to the right. So I've narrowed that down to just maybe 2.
So do you prepare your own food or do you eat out or?
I was eating out a lot.
Okay.
I stopped that. I'm cooking now, especially
but again,
with the prices.
For the swelling. So
yes.
that's, remember, restaurants season to taste, and often it's high in sodium. So even though you're not adding table salt to your food, there's sodium that's built up in that food, and that could definitely be a contributor to the swelling.
Okay. Because I went and had my legs, the circulation, I had a test on that, and they said it was fine, but it doesn't always feel fine to me.
Yeah.
Right. Well, one of the different things that we do at Dedicated that most places don't do with our executive physical, every patient that comes in gets a free echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of your heart. We assess for heart failure, We look at your aorta to see if it's calcified, if you have plaque buildup, and we're able to catch a lot of those diseases early on to prevent any symptoms in the long run, to prevent heart failure. Because if you catch disease processes in their early stages, you can focus on mitigating and preventing those processes from ongoing. So we're really focused in on proactive care and preventative medicine, and by doing that, we're able to keep patients healthy, happy, and out of the hospital.
What about cancer patients? Do either one of you get with internal medicine? You get everything, and with dedicated, I'm sure you all get everything. I know some people right now that have cancer. One was supposed to call in this evening, and she beat cancer twice, and I shared with her to try some of the holistic methods and to call even Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and they will give you some information like wheatgrass and not staying away from meats and things of that nature. Do you all have any recommendations for people that are, cancer patients?
Well, for me, I'm a cancer survivor as well. I had it actually pretty young. I had breast cancer, and I think because of my age, I had chemo, radiation, the whole nine. My children were young at the time as well. So I'm very, for me, breast cancer-wise, that kind of created the consciousness for me for my diet. I think I always ate pretty well, but I don't want to, beat the horse. But I really think that getting back to your clean foods.
What are clean foods?
Yep, so from the earth.
Okay.
So a lot of plants and fruits and vegetables. I err on the side of saying that, organic is the way to go. A lot of these preservatives, pesticides, herbicides, they can really become toxic, especially if you've already beaten cancer. Your cells are a little bit more prone, unfortunately, or increases your risk of recurrence. So it's limiting your alcohol consumption. I can't say that there is a plant or one thing that you can take.
Now, alcohol is bad for if you have had cancer or have probability of cancer?
Yeah, well, alcohol in large amounts, is toxic, right? And it causes some distortion of the cellular growth and changes.
Okay.
So we want to be always careful of your amount that you consume, especially if you have a history of cancer. Breast cancer, I know there's some studies that show that women who have a certain amount of alcohol or over a certain amount increase their risk of recurrence.
What about meats? I watched this video about the meats, and it's a challenge to not eat meat.
Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think that you should not eat meat. I mean, meat was meant to be eaten. I do think, though. Hold on. Let me say this, and I'll say this. The truth of it is that it's how they process our foods now. That's the problem. And I think the sadder part of it is that when you have those organic meats that don't have the antibiotics and the hormones, it's so much more expensive. So I'll speak to our community. It's harder for us to get our hands on it because a lot of us cannot afford it. So I do think in that regard you may want to shy away a little bit more so. But sticking to the leaner proteins, which are the leaner meats like fish, if they consider fish a meat, chicken, turkey. Lamb is fattening. I mean, it's high in fat.
It's
bad fats, not good fats like the fish.
No, I'm teasing.
But I'll tell you, if you can afford the fillets and the sirloins, the leaner flank steak is another one that I know a lot of people don't know a lot about. But if you want to stick to the leaner, smaller portions of the red meat, I think you're okay. I do know that a lot of people have trouble with digesting red meats, which I think that's across the board. So generally people don't like the way they feel when they eat, after they eat red meat. So I do say substituting that for turkey meat. It's a lot leaner and healthier. But again, portion control is important. Portion control is important. So when people say, I'm plant-based, what ends up happening is they lose that direct source of protein that's clean, and they go to beans and lentils, which are great, but then they eat it in a larger amount. So I see a lot of my new plant-based dieters gaining weight because they're looking for they get more starches in their diet. So it's about balance and just making sure your portions are controlled.
What about the vegetable meats, the veggie meats?
Those are processed.
Yeah.
They're processed.
Oh, so like I
That's
love
bad.
the bacon from Morningstar Bacon,
Just to be clear, it's bad. It's bad.
and then
true.
somebody said it has too much soy.
Okay, so let's talk about soy really quickly. Soy, for those people who don't know, is a natural source of estrogen. So for breast cancer survivors like myself, I mean, I work out a lot. I was drinking a lot of protein shakes, which are, a lot of them are soy-based. I found one that is not, by the way, but that are soy-based. So the studies have shown that people who didn't grow up eating soy, or consuming soy, they tend to do okay. But the people who are now transitioning into eating more soy, they increase their risk of developing adverse effects from soy consumption. So small amounts are okay.
So stick with my regular bacon and not the.
No,
That's not what we said. This is what
what I said,
patients do
right.
all the time.
Right.
Misconstrue it.
I don't know what you heard. That's not what I
I
said.
thought
Sure,
that's what
bacon.
you said.
Right.
Stick with
And-
the regular.
And talking about bacon, so there's a
What
wrong
you
way to
wanna
do
hear.
meats. Grilling meats is actually really bad for you because it creates nitrites in those meats, and those are proven to be carcinogens. So they've done long-term studies for folks who do a lot of grilling, especially with red meats. When you're grilling red meats, it's very toxic for your digestive system. You have a higher
Really?
risk of esophageal cancer and different types of cancers. So if the better way would be not grilled.
So
Bacon.
it's better
Bacon.
to bake your. But
exactly.
you can't bake steaks. Well, you can.
Oh, yeah, you
can,
can.
sure you can.
Choose not to.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to. It's a lot harder
It
to.
is.
My population normally of alcohol or drug use are not very health conscious. What would be the one or two things we could start telling our patients to do that will make them more healthy?
That's a great question. I mean, I think dealing with the addiction. Now, let's
Of
go back
course.
to what caused the addiction. I think that, and I'm a strong believer in mental health. That dictates how you eat. It dictates the choices that you make. We actually know that when people are depressed, they tend to go to those comfort foods, right? So it's, I think, not just the drug addiction portion, it's the mental health that really can dictate how people view the world around them. So the choices that they make are a reflection of how they feel about themselves or feel about life. So I think attacking it from that standpoint is super important. I can tell you all day long how to eat, but if you don't have a healthy mindset,
You won't do it.
you're not going to do it.
I think
Same
that's
way we
even
talk
with
about-
dieting or whatever. Just eating, it starts with the mind. Just to eat better,
Right.
you've got to recondition your mindset on how you think about things. And I love the phrase, "I eat to live, not live to eat."
Right, right. Well, another part about that is too, I think that I'll tell you, being raised West Indian in Toronto, we were very isolated in our culture. So I only grew up eating certain food. And then we have an Italian population that are true Italians that eat Italian food. I didn't even know what Canadian
Okay.
food was. So it's a mindset that when I came here to this country, I didn't know chitlins and these kinds of
The
things.
good stuff.
The good stuff. But not so good stuff.
Right,
But I
right.
say that to mean that you only know what you know. And I don't think people educate themselves enough.
Expand.
Yeah, they don't know. Like I talk about foods like couscous and quinoa, and people are like, what's that?
Exactly.
But I think if you
Delicious.
choose to open your mind about other choices other than the fried chicken or the foods that are on the corner, if you open your mind to that, I think that once you teach them, I think that they're more receptive. But
Yeah.
they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, knowledge is power, and I think taking that first step, whether it's exercising, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
That's right.
So taking initiative and exercising. I mean, it sounds so simple, but yet very few people do it. By exercising, you release natural endorphins. You start to feel better, which motivates you look better, so you start to get into the habit. And long
Choices.
before you know it, you're reversing a lot of these disease processes. You're fixing a lot of mental health issues because you're releasing natural endorphins, and you're really overall fixing your health. So it's simple steps like we're talking about that really it's a matter of reaching that person and connecting with them and getting them to do it.
Can I
heard
piggyback
that-
off of that?
I
I'm
heard
sorry.
that 16% of the people in Michigan smoke cigarettes. When I look at my population in the residential program, 90-some% smoke cigarettes. In mental health programs also, it's much more prevalent.
It's addictive behavior.
Yes.
It's an addictive
But
mindset.
when you're smoking or you don't get anything from cigarettes but cancer. I
Yeah.
could never understand that.
Yeah.
And they if you can come off of drugs, you can come off of cigarettes.
I've had patients come off of drugs, but not off of
I was
cigarettes.
gonna
They
say,
say
me
it's the
too.
hardest. They tell me
It's harder than
it's harder.
heroin,
It's
actually,
harder than
because
everything.
you have everything else that steps you down from the other drugs,
Yes.
you know, methadone and Suboxone. But you have, with cigarettes, there is nothing that really, other than that willpower, I think, that
Yep.
really works to get you off
They
of.
have nicotine replacement, but still, it's
yeah.
a very slow process.
And it's a habit. It's
Yes.
multidimensional. It's
Right.
not just the feeling they get from smoking.
Right.
It's the routine.
That's
it's the
right.
habit. So it's filling the space of when I
What
drive
do I
home in the
do?
car and I see someone smoking. That makes me want to, you know,
That's
it's more than just the addiction itself.
Absolutely.
Dr. Antio, tell us where you are.
So we have 6 centers. We have